It started as an ordinary night in a discreet, upscale restaurant, the kind of place where privacy is expected and celebrities can blend in, at least for a moment. But that illusion didn't last long. Within minutes, whispers spread, phones subtly lifted, and one sight instantly set social media on fire. Kylie Jenner was there. Timothée Chalamet was sitting with her. And just when the buzz couldn't get louder, Kendall Jenner joined them at the same table. Before we go any further, stay with this story until the very end, because one small but telling detail from this dinner has fans convinced this wasn't just another casual outing. Drop your thoughts in the comments as you listen, because this moment has sparked one of the most intense debates around Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet so far. The first images that surfaced were far from polished. No red carpet. No staged smiles. Just a grainy photo taken from a distance. Kylie Jenner appeared relaxed, dressed in her signature understated luxury. Across from her sat Timothée Chalamet, noticeably more casual than his usual public appearances, looking comfortable and unguarded. This wasn't a business meeting. This wasn't a promotional event. This was dinner. But the tension rose when Kendall Jenner entered the picture. As one of the most recognizable supermodels in the world, and someone known to be selective about who enters her inner circle, Kendall's presence immediately changed the narrative. This was no longer just about Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet being spotted together. It became a story about family, approval, and a relationship that might be far more serious than either side has publicly admitted. According to sources inside the restaurant, the atmosphere at their table was anything but awkward. Laughter flowed naturally. Conversations appeared easy and unforced. There was no visible discomfort, no sense of formality. This wasn't an introduction. It looked more like familiarity. And in the world of high-profile relationships, familiarity speaks volumes. At this point, fans began asking the obvious question. Was this a coincidence? Or was this dinner intentionally planned? The fact that Kendall Jenner joined them fueled speculation that Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet have moved beyond secrecy. For many observers, this moment felt like a quiet confirmation that the relationship has reached a level where family inclusion feels natural. Zoom in on the details fans can't stop dissecting. Kylie and Timothée were seated close together. Their body language was relaxed. Eye contact lingered, not performative, not exaggerated, just natural. There was no need for grand gestures. In a world where celebrity relationships are often carefully curated, this subtle authenticity stood out more than any public display ever could. Online reaction was immediate. Searches for Kylie Jenner Timothée Chalamet dinner surged within hours. Keywords like Kendall Jenner Kylie Timothée and Jenner family Timothée Chalamet quickly followed. Some fans called it soft launch confirmation. Others described it as a calculated yet elegant way of letting the public see what's already been real behind closed doors. But the story didn't end at the table. Later that evening, another detail emerged that pushed speculation even further. When the dinner wrapped up, the trio didn't leave separately. Kylie Jenner, Timothée Chalamet, and Kendall Jenner were seen exiting around the same time, unhurried and clearly at ease. There was no attempt to create distance. No effort to avoid attention. That brief moment sparked a new wave of theories. Was this dinner a rare sighting, or simply one of many similar nights that just happened to be noticed? For industry insiders, this moment is particularly telling. Kylie Jenner is famously private when it comes to her personal life, especially after navigating intense public scrutiny in the past. Timothée Chalamet, despite his meteoric rise in Hollywood, has consistently guarded his private relationships. When two people known for protecting their boundaries appear this comfortable in a semi-public setting, alongside family, it sends a message louder than any statement. And here lies the payoff. Kendall Jenner's presence isn't just symbolic. Within the Jenner family dynamic, moments involving close family members are rarely accidental. Fans see this as a quiet endorsement, a sign that Timothée Chalamet is no longer just a rumored name, but someone integrated into Kylie's real world. The conversation has shifted. It's no longer about whether they're together. It's about how serious this relationship truly is, and where it might be heading next. So far, neither Kylie Jenner nor Timothée Chalamet has addressed the dinner publicly. No confirmations. No denials. No carefully worded statements. And yet, the silence feels intentional. In celebrity culture, silence often carries more weight than words. It allows images, moments, and subtle interactions to tell the story instead. What began as a quiet dinner has now become one of the most talked about moments in recent celebrity news. Not because of extravagance. Not because of drama. But because of its simplicity. A glimpse of real life slipping through the cracks of constant attention. Now it's your turn. Do you think this dinner marks a new chapter for Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet? Or was it simply an intimate moment that the world happened to catch? Share your thoughts, and stay tuned, because with these two, even the smallest detail can become the next major headline. The questions didn't stop after that night. In fact, they multiplied. Because once the images circulated and the story reached global headlines, fans began connecting dots that had been scattered for months. This dinner wasn't seen as an isolated moment. It was viewed as part of a much larger pattern, one that now feels impossible to ignore. Observers quickly pointed out how timing played a crucial role. Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet have both been unusually low-profile recently, despite having more than enough reasons to dominate the spotlight. Kylie, with her ever-expanding business empire, and Timothée, fresh off major film buzz, could have easily been everywhere. Instead, they chose discretion. And that discretion, paired with a quiet dinner involving Kendall Jenner, made the moment feel deliberate rather than accidental. Insiders familiar with the Jenner family dynamic suggest that Kendall's involvement is especially telling. Unlike other public figures, Kendall is known for keeping her distance from unnecessary publicity. She rarely appears in situations that could fuel speculation unless she feels completely comfortable. That alone has fueled theories that this wasn't a first meeting, but a continuation of a bond already established behind closed doors. As the night unfolded, subtle details kept emerging. Staff members reportedly treated the group with familiarity, not surprise. No heightened security. No last-minute adjustments. Everything moved smoothly, as if this scenario had played out before. To seasoned celebrity watchers, that kind of calm environment suggests routine, not novelty. Online discourse soon shifted tone. Early skepticism gave way to acceptance. Fans who once doubted the pairing began reassessing their stance, especially as clips, reactions, and commentary flooded platforms. Keywords like Kylie Jenner serious relationship, Timothée Chalamet Jenner family, and Kylie Kendall Jenner Timothée surged in search rankings, signaling a clear change in public perception. What stood out most was how normal the entire evening appeared. No over-the-top fashion statements. No dramatic entrances. Just three globally recognized figures sharing a meal, laughing, talking, existing without spectacle. In a culture that thrives on excess, normalcy felt almost revolutionary, and deeply persuasive. This is where the narrative takes another turn. Entertainment analysts note that Kylie Jenner has historically introduced romantic partners to her family only when she feels secure. Family inclusion, especially in casual settings, has often preceded major relationship milestones. Fans immediately drew parallels to past moments that later proved to be early signs of long-term commitments. Timothée Chalamet's role in this moment is equally fascinating. Known for his artistic sensibility and careful career choices, he has rarely allowed his personal life to overlap so visibly with high-profile families. Being seen not just with Kylie, but with Kendall present, places him in a new context, less Hollywood mystery, more real-life integration. Midway through the night, sources say the group stayed longer than expected. No rush. No visible concern about being noticed. That patience, that lack of urgency, quietly reinforced the idea that this relationship is no longer operating in hiding. It may still be private, but it's no longer fragile. And then came the ripple effect. Following the dinner, fans noticed subtle social media behavior shifts. No direct posts, no confirmations, but engagement patterns changed. Likes appeared. Timing aligned. Silence became strategic. For those fluent in celebrity culture, these micro-movements spoke louder than press releases ever could. This brings us to a critical realization: Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet may be redefining how modern celebrity relationships unfold in public. Instead of dramatic reveals or headline-grabbing statements, they're letting moments speak organically. A dinner. A shared space. A family presence. Each element adds weight without forcing attention. The payoff lies in how the story has evolved. What began as speculation has matured into something steadier. The narrative is no longer fueled by rumor alone, but by consistency. Public sightings that feel grounded. Family involvement that feels intentional. Silence that feels confident. As days pass, the dinner continues to dominate conversations, not because of what was said, but because of what was shown. Comfort. Trust. Inclusion. These are not accidental signals. They are choices. And now, the focus shifts forward. Will this lead to more public appearances? Will Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet continue blending their worlds, slowly but unmistakably? Or will they retreat again into privacy, letting this dinner stand as a rare glimpse into something deeply personal? One thing is certain. That night changed the tone of the conversation forever. The question is no longer, are they together? The real question now is how far this relationship has already gone, and how much of it the public is only just beginning to see. Stay tuned, stay curious, and keep watching closely. Because in stories like this, the quiet moments often reveal the loudest truths. As the story continued to circulate, another layer began to form, one that shifted the conversation from simple curiosity to long-term speculation. Industry insiders started weighing in, not with confirmations, but with observations that added gravity to the moment. They noted how rare it is for Kylie Jenner to allow her private life to intersect so openly with public spaces unless the situation feels stable and controlled. What makes this dinner especially compelling is how unplanned it appeared, yet how perfectly it fit into a larger narrative. There were no advance leaks, no coordinated paparazzi shots, no dramatic entrances. And yet, the moment found its way into the public eye anyway, suggesting this wasn't about hiding, but also not about showing off. It was balance. And that balance is often the clearest sign of confidence. Fans quickly revisited earlier rumors with fresh eyes. Past sightings that once felt inconclusive now seemed connected. Quiet appearances. Low-key outings. A consistent pattern of discretion. Suddenly, the dinner with Kendall present felt less like a surprise and more like a missing puzzle piece finally clicking into place. Cultural commentators also highlighted the symbolism behind shared meals. In celebrity culture, a dinner isn't just dinner. It's time. It's intention. It's a setting where conversations happen without cameras, where relationships deepen away from noise. Inviting family into that space adds another layer entirely. It implies trust, not just between two people, but within an inner circle. As discussions intensified, comparisons inevitably emerged. Fans contrasted this relationship with past high-profile romances that unfolded loudly and quickly. This one felt different. Slower. More contained. Less reactive to public pressure. That difference alone made people pay closer attention. Another detail gained traction: the absence of damage control. No team rushed to dismiss the reports. No just friends narratives were pushed. The lack of narrative correction allowed the moment to stand on its own. In the modern media landscape, that silence often signals approval rather than avoidance. The following days only strengthened the story's grip. Media outlets continued referencing the dinner as a turning point. Headlines shifted from speculation to analysis. Language changed. Words like rumored began giving way to increasingly serious and quietly confirmed. This subtle evolution marked a clear shift in how the relationship is being framed. For Kylie Jenner, this moment also represented something broader. It showed a version of her life that feels grounded, less about branding, more about presence. For Timothée Chalamet, it offered a glimpse into how he navigates fame not just as an actor, but as a partner within one of the world's most scrutinized families. And Kendall Jenner's role remains central to the conversation. Her participation wasn't loud or performative. It was calm, supportive, and natural. That calmness resonated deeply with audiences. Many interpreted it as a sign that whatever is happening between Kylie and Timothee has already passed the stage of uncertainty. As the narrative continues to unfold, one truth becomes clear: this wasn't a fleeting headline. It was a defining moment. A snapshot that reshaped public understanding without ever needing an official statement. The dinner didn't answer every question, but it changed which questions mattered. It redirected attention from rumors to reality, from speculation to structure. And in doing so, it left the audience wanting more, not out of gossip, but out of genuine curiosity about what comes next. So as the buzz continues and eyes remain fixed on every subtle movement, one thing is undeniable. That quiet dinner, shared without spectacle, has become one of the most powerful statements Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet have made so far, without saying a single word. And the story is far from over. What followed in the days after only deepened the impact of that single evening. The dinner stopped being discussed as a moment and started being treated as a milestone. Commentators, fans, and media outlets alike began framing it as a turning point, one that quietly redefined how Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet are viewed as a couple. Behind the scenes, sources close to the social circle suggested that this wasn't a sudden shift, but a gradual evolution. The relationship, they say, has been moving at a pace intentionally slower than what the public is used to. No rush. No pressure to perform. Just consistency. And consistency, in celebrity relationships, is often the strongest indicator of longevity. What captured attention next was how naturally the story kept resurfacing without new material. No new photos were needed. No additional sightings were required. The same dinner was replayed again and again across platforms, analyzed from different angles, discussed in longer segments, and referenced in broader conversations about modern celebrity relationships. That kind of staying power is rare and revealing. Analysts pointed out that Kylie Jenner has reached a stage in her life where control matters more than visibility. Her choices now appear deliberate, even understated. Allowing herself to be seen in a normal, unguarded setting alongside Timothée Chalamet and Kendall Jenner felt like a conscious recalibration of what she shares with the world. For Timothée Chalamet, the moment subtly altered public perception. Long associated with artistic mystery and private intensity, he was suddenly seen in a domestic, grounded context. Not as a movie star on a set or a fashion icon on a runway, but as someone integrated into a real, intimate family dynamic. That shift resonated with audiences who have long speculated about how he navigates fame off-camera. As conversations expanded, experts in pop culture psychology noted how the absence of spectacle created its own kind of drama. Viewers leaned in precisely because nothing was exaggerated. No obvious statements. No forced intimacy. Just proximity, ease, and inclusion. These quiet signals tend to feel more authentic, and therefore more powerful. The dinner also sparked renewed interest in the broader Jenner family dynamics. Kendall's role continued to stand out. Known for drawing firm boundaries around her personal life, her relaxed presence suggested comfort not just with the situation, but with the person involved. That unspoken approval carried weight, especially among fans who closely follow the family's internal relationships. Weeks later, the ripple effects were still visible. Search trends remained elevated. Comment sections stayed active. Every unrelated appearance by Kylie Jenner or Timothée Chalamet was filtered through the lens of that dinner. The public narrative had shifted permanently, anchoring itself to that single night. What makes this story remarkable is not what was revealed, but how it was revealed. There was no announcement to dissect, no quote to misinterpret. Just a sequence of moments that aligned too cleanly to ignore. In an era defined by oversharing, this restraint felt refreshing and strategic. As the dust settles, one conclusion feels unavoidable. That dinner was not accidental. It was not meaningless. And it was not just about food or convenience. It was about visibility without vulnerability, confirmation without declaration, and connection without performance. The question now isn't whether Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet are serious. That conversation has largely been answered in the public mind. The real intrigue lies in what their next move will be, and whether they will continue letting actions speak louder than words. Until then, that quiet dinner remains a defining chapter. A moment that proved sometimes the most powerful headlines are written not in bold statements, but in silence, presence, and who chooses to sit at the table. As time goes on, the dinner keeps gaining new meaning, almost as if the story itself is evolving without any new scenes being added. Each rereading, each replay, adds another layer. What once looked like a simple celebrity sighting now feels like a carefully balanced moment between privacy and acknowledgement, a line Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet seem to be walking with precision. Sources close to the entertainment industry began pointing out something subtle but important: this dinner happened at a time when both figures had nothing to promote. No film release, no product launch, no campaign rollout. That absence of external motivation made the moment feel personal rather than strategic. In a world where timing is often tied to branding, this choice stood out. Public reaction gradually shifted from excitement to interpretation. Fans started reading the story less like breaking news and more like a chapter in an unfolding narrative. They debated what it means when a relationship moves from secrecy to quiet visibility. Not public confirmation, not denial, just existence. And for many, that transition felt far more intimate than any official announcement could ever be. The presence of Kendall Jenner continued to anchor these interpretations. Her involvement reframed the entire night as something grounded and intentional. Kendall is widely seen as the most reserved member of the family, someone who avoids unnecessary attention. That she chose to be part of this moment suggested comfort not just with the setting, but with the relationship itself. Another detail that fueled discussion was the absence of tension afterward. No sudden disappearance from public view. No overcorrection into silence. Both Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet continued their routines without visible disruption. That steadiness reinforced the idea that nothing about the dinner felt risky or premature. It felt settled. Media analysts began describing the situation as a soft normalization. Instead of introducing the relationship with a single explosive reveal, the couple appears to be allowing the public to slowly adjust to their reality. This approach reduces shock, minimizes backlash, and builds familiarity over time. It's subtle, but highly effective. The story also touched on something broader: how modern celebrity relationships are changing. Audiences are increasingly skeptical of highly curated romance narratives. What resonates now are moments that feel unscripted, unforced, and human. This dinner checked all those boxes. It didn't demand attention, it earned it. As discussions continued, fans revisited past interviews, old quotes, and previous sightings. Statements that once seemed vague now felt intentional. Preferences for privacy. discomfort with overexposure, a desire for balance. Everything aligned with the behavior on display that night. Even fashion choices were analyzed. Kylie's understated look, Timothee's relaxed styling, Kendall's effortless presence, none of it screamed spectacle. Instead, it communicated ease. And ease, in celebrity culture, is often the hardest thing to fake. The longer the conversation lasted, the clearer it became that this moment wasn't about proving anything to the public. It wasn't about convincing skeptics or satisfying curiosity. It was simply about living, briefly and honestly, within a shared space. The cameras may have found them, but the moment itself didn't exist for the cameras. And that's why it lingered. The dinner became a reference point. A before and after marker. Future sightings would be measured against it. Past rumors would be re-evaluated through it. It quietly reset expectations without ever saying so explicitly. As the story continues to echo across platforms, one thing remains consistent: restraint. No rush to define the relationship. No pressure to label it. Just a steady unfolding that invites attention without demanding it. In the end, that's what made this dinner unforgettable. Not the names involved, not the location, not even the family presence, but the confidence to let a moment exist without explanation. In an industry built on noise, silence became the loudest signal of all. And as long as that silence continues, the story will keep writing itself. As the weeks pass, the dinner continues to live on, not as a fleeting headline, but as a reference point that subtly reshapes how this relationship is understood. What's striking is how the story refuses to fade. Even without new footage or fresh sightings, it keeps resurfacing, discussed with new angles, new interpretations, and deeper context each time it's revisited. One reason for this endurance is how the moment contrasts with everything audiences expect from celebrity culture. There was no spectacle, no announcement, no attempt to control the narrative afterward. Instead, there was stillness. And stillness, especially when it involves names as powerful as Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet, naturally invites scrutiny. Observers began to notice how this approach mirrors a broader shift in how influence operates today. Visibility no longer needs to be loud to be effective. In fact, subtle presence often carries more weight. By allowing themselves to be seen briefly, without explanation, Kylie and Timothee created a sense of authenticity that can't be manufactured through traditional publicity. The conversation also started moving beyond romance. Analysts framed the dinner as a sign of personal alignment. Two people at similar crossroads in their lives, both redefining success on their own terms. Kylie Jenner, long past the phase of proving relevance, appears increasingly focused on stability and intention. Timothée Chalamet, navigating the pressures of global fame, has consistently chosen depth over excess. Their shared presence in a grounded, familial setting seemed to reflect that alignment. Kendall Jenner's role continued to be revisited, not as a background detail, but as a central element of the story's credibility. Her reputation for discretion adds gravity to any situation she's part of. Fans interpreted her calm involvement as a sign that this relationship has already passed internal tests long before the public caught a glimpse. What's equally notable is how the dinner reframed public curiosity. Instead of asking invasive questions, many fans shifted toward respect. The tone of the discourse softened. Curiosity remained, but it was tempered with patience. People began acknowledging that not every story needs immediate answers. This shift in tone reflects a growing maturity in how audiences engage with celebrity narratives. The dinner became less about confirmation and more about observation. Less about entitlement and more about understanding boundaries. And that, in itself, marked a significant change. From a media perspective, the story's power lies in its ambiguity. It offers just enough information to spark discussion, but not enough to close it. That balance keeps attention alive without exhausting it. Each retelling adds texture rather than repetition. As time moves forward, the dinner stands as a quiet declaration, not of status, but of confidence. Confidence to exist without clarifying. Confidence to include family without explanation. Confidence to trust that the truth doesn't need to be rushed. And perhaps that's the most compelling takeaway. In an environment obsessed with immediacy, Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet allowed a moment to unfold slowly. They let interpretation replace announcement. They let presence replace performance. The story remains unfinished, and maybe that's intentional. Because as long as there are no hard conclusions, the narrative stays alive, evolving naturally, shaped by observation rather than instruction. That single dinner, shared quietly, continues to echo not because of what it revealed, but because of what it chose not to explain. And in that space of unanswered questions, the audience keeps listening, watching, and waiting, fully aware that sometimes, the most meaningful stories are the ones that refuse to end.